being there. Hey guys, it's your girl Aisha, aka GeekXX Chic, and I'm back with another reaction to The Umbrella Academy. We are now on to episode 6, which is called A Light Supper. Sorry that this is a little bit behind, guys. I had, as you know, I moved not that long ago, and just because of the situation with Miss Rona, a lot of things are just really slow. Like some of the furniture that I was supposed to get did not arrive on time because, you know, the whole world's on pause. So I had to spend the weekend doing a lot of, and the last week, just kind of getting some of the stuff in my house in order once my stuff actually arrived. So yeah, unfortunately other things kind of had to get pushed, like my filming and editing schedule. So my apologies for the lateness of this video. So let's get into it. But before we do, if you have been here before and you like what you see, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button. That lets me know that you like this content. Not to mention it lets you know exactly when I upload more of these videos, which is usually more regular than this. But as I said, it's been crazy. Without further ado, guys, let's get into this video right about now.
Hey girl, you're in the wrong part of town. Hey girl, we're talking to you.
She's like messing me again.
Get back here.
Why do they always do that? Why do people say get back here when they know they're gonna do something bad? Like you're actually gonna be like, okay, let me just wander on back for my beating. Like what? That's right.
Boys must be lost.
You looking for a cut?
I suggest you find a barber shop in Oak Lawn. They specialize in young kind of hair.
Right? Let me get this hot comb real hot. Think I ain't gonna burn you up in here. Nerve. Where'd she get her hands on hair extensions back then?
I am so going to enjoy killing you someday.
Lila, darling, would you give us a minute, please?
Yes, the grown-ups need to talk.
Yes, why don't you run and play? I'm sorry, I love Five so much.
But remember, Doomsday is right around the corner, and the way things are going, I'm your only option.
Not really. He can survive it. Really.
You are?
You already know how this is going to go. Daddy's going to play all his little mind games on us, get into our heads, and he's going to turn us all against each other. You watch.
Luther, we're not 12 anymore.
The way this kid keeps stress eating, someone get Luther some help.
Hey.
A therapist.
Hey.
Second of all,
Doing, Klaus.
What are you going to say? Prepare to die. They deserve a better explanation.
what, bend the truth?
Yeah.
The Dutch girl with the lazy eye?
Right? Oh, brown skin, glasses. Almond-shaped eyes, you get lost.
Peace and love.
She gave up her entire future.
Look at him, he's like, finally.
Someone decided instead to come and learn.
You've seen far worse, Ben. You know it.
Are real people. They're not just feel like it. You know?
How did Robert keep a straight face? I don't understand.
My name's Klaus and I'm an alcoholic. I'm sorry, that's the wrong music. In my walkabout,
I love him.
I'm a complete and total fraud.
They're not gonna believe you.
Me too.
See?
It's not what I meant.
I too am a fraud.
I'm fraud.
Yeah, no. This is the thing when it comes to cults, it's not even about the person who's leading it. It's about the need to believe.
So there was a black president?
Getting you up to speed. See, this is what I knew was gonna happen, and this is why I was a little worried about this. I feel like Ray's gonna want to take advantage in the wrong way. Although I don't mind this, because you know what? Every so often, everybody should feel like $1,000,000. You know what I'm saying? And back in those times, man, a black man getting to just wear a nice suit and feel good about himself was a rare occasion.
Why don't you do this all the time? I mean, think of everything we could accomplish.
See? They're all like, we've lost our appetites. Bye.
More. More.
Oh, does it hurt?
More.
Allison, stop it.
Why? You were enjoying it 2 seconds ago. That's the cost. They're all like, she's the devil. Call the cops. Kill her. That's not quite the spirit we're looking for at Bingo Ma'am, but thanks for playing.
I just realized who you sound like. Who?
Dad.
Don't say that.
Dad.
I'm serious. Shut up.
You finally turned into your father.
That looked like it felt awful.
I think I was inside.
I'm sorry. We've caught you in the middle.
My favorite duo. Interesting. So can't Klaus go, Ben can go corporeal now, can he? Somewhat? I'm confused.
Did you use it on me?
Ray,
No.
of course not.
What if you had? Would I even know?
Probably not.
You're gonna end up wishing that you didn't. You have no idea what the hell you're talking about.
He says with tears in his eyes.
They're all I have left of you.
This is the part where you drop that and scream and run away because that's really weird.
My uncle took me down to the recruitment office.
See?
He made me sign up.
Some things happen no matter what, Klaus.
Come out there, Mia, and then hug.
Yeah, y'all have some soft parts just dangling. You shouldn't just roll up on a lady like that.
Ja, är någon ni vill känna?
Mein Wiener. What's interesting about this to me is the fact that even though all of them keep claiming that their dad's like the one person they don't want to deal with and they hate him so much, they're all gonna show up for this invitation.
Hold it.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, everyone.
When Daddy calls, we all show up. Ah, this is the thumbnail from the teasers.
Sorry.
Nervous stomach. In the elevator though, sir, really?
Animals, okay? We're not gonna bounce balls on our noses and clap our hands like seals for your amusement.
He just knows sit down. Interesting.
You are 0 for 2, young man. Now that is interesting.
All right, quick rundown. Allison can rumor anyone to do anything.
Except she never uses it.
I heard a rumor. You punched yourself in the face.
Nah, yes! Finally.
I can handle it. I handle it. Last time you handled it, you definitely blew it.
They're all so scared. She's learning. She does have to learn to control it. I love this family gathering.
You're involved in the plot. Just ask me at the present.
Suppose you've solved it.
He says with sarcasm.
Definitely unearthed my nefarious plot. The last good man who will save us from our descent into corruption.
Damn, the read.
This is a fantastic delusion.
Wow.
Sad reality is that you're a desperate man.
Look at him.
Totally unaware of his own insignificance.
Oh, God.
Desperately clinging to his own ineffectual.
Oh, God.
Or succinctly,
Woo.
in over his head.
Stop. Wow. Reduced to tears in 2 minutes.
Thank you for coming.
Let's work on that.
Enough.
He just steps over it.
Look at what you did to me. Look at it.
This is the best family scene ever.
A word.
He's like, you're the only one with sense. I will talk to you. And the fact that he called them culottes. Oh my God, this scene was brilliant. Brilliant. best family ever.
Maybe your appetite is disproportionate to the size of your abilities. Start small. Seconds, not decades.
This is what he needed when he was a child. This training.
No offense. Hey, buddy. How'd you get up here?
They're literally bringing their cat on kill missions now. Wow. Every dental fear you've ever had now manifested in this particular scene. Thanks, Netflix! I mean, he didn't deserve that. He was nosy, but he didn't deserve that.
You get me and my family home. No more doomsday, no more apocalypse. Is that correct?
You really think it's that easy though, Five? Come on. Interesting. Obviously, I don't trust the handler. Nobody should. But at the same time, number 5 is no idiot. He definitely will do what he feels he needs to do or double-cross her at any second, which I have a feeling she's probably already figured out about number 5, but if she's trusting number 5, she's got to be pretty desperate as well, because he is a wild card and she knows that. Well, that was the latest episode, for me anyways, of The Umbrella Academy, which was a light supper. That is probably one of my favorite scenes of the show, period. Like, since the show started, I think that was one of my favorite scenes ever, with everybody there. I'm a fan of that. Like, I love in television shows or in books when they have that coming together moment, but it's like comedic and messy and just like kind of crazy. Like, I love that. And I feel like the writing in that was perfect. I love the way every character kind of had a moment to kind of shine a little bit of who they are and how they fit into the family in that dinner table scene. And even though it was this idea of them being in the past as adults with their father who has no idea that he's their father yet, the situation was still so familiar, like it was happening. Like, you know, not even in the present, but do you get what I'm saying? Like, it's like it was a present situation even though it wasn't. Like, they just brilliantly did that. I don't know how to explain it. Like, they did such a good job of how I'm just getting into that scene because it was my favorite part of the whole episode. As I said during the episode, it's so interesting with human behavior, the way, even though all of them, right, we've heard them say since season 1 that they hate their dad and their dad was the worst and nothing that their dad could ever do or say could ever convince them to go back or deal with him or whatever. And yet, every single one of them responded to the call. Like, their dad put all cordially in his nice, you know, handwritten, you know, invitations, and they all showed up. I knew they would. Every single one of them, for all their protestations, they were all going to show up. Even Luther, even if Diego hadn't been there trying to bring him in, he would have shown up regardless, right? They're all going to do that because that's what's intrinsically, like, that's home for them. Dysfunctional and messy as it is, that is what they know. That is still the place that they all feel the safest, is in that space at that table with their father, as demented as he was in his own way. And so I love that. I thought it was so well done, seeing the way that the way they were all kind of reduced back to being kids, right? Like, that happens too, right? You notice that with families when they get together where, you know, everyone's grown and living their own lives, but then the second they get back with mom and dad and they're in a familiar space, everyone gets reduced back to how they were when they were kids, right? The same two that bickered will always bicker. They know how to get under each other's skin. They have the jibes and the jabs at each other. Like, I love that. I love how intrinsic that is to families, and I like that they really did a great job of showing it in that scene. I mean, the scene was only, what, 10 minutes long, but it was so well executed. Everyone did such a good job. I loved it. And I think one of my favorite parts, as sad as it was the moment between Diego and his dad. Right? Diego has got this resounding issue around his sense of purpose, right? He just really feels like his whole existence and purpose is centered around being a hero or helping people or having like a cause to save. And there's probably so much more that's wrapped into that on a much deeper psychological level, but the way he came there and he thought he was going to be able to just be like, listen, you're going to assassinate so-and-so and you're going to do all this stuff. And his dad literally, he read Diego. It's kind of like how Lila said in like episode 2 or something like that, where she's like, Diego, you are not a closed book. Like, you are an open book that children can read. Like, you are so transparent. And the fact that his dad, after only knowing him for, at that point, what, 15 minutes between the first time he stabbed him to this point, we're like, yeah. I already know everything about you. He read him for filth right there. And the fact that Diego was reduced to being that child all over again was just like, wow. But that's so true of parents, right? Like, if there is something that we are holding on to or something we haven't dealt with for a long time and our parents are the trigger for that in some way, it's amazing how no matter how old you get and no matter what you accomplish and no matter what you do, if you don't resolve that thing, as you saw with Diego, within a matter of minutes, reduced to being a child again, sulking, crying, not being able to say a word. And no one else said anything because the sad reality is that everything his dad said was true. He didn't have to say it in that way, and it was not in a kind way, but there is some realities in there that Diego needs to find that worth within himself. He needs to understand that his worth is not tied to whether or not he can save the world. That it's around what he decides is important to him. Like, if hurting or helping people and saving people is what makes him feel good and gives him meaning, then that's fine. But it doesn't mean that if he can't or he doesn't do that or if he chooses something else, he's useless. And somehow, somewhere along the way, he associated what their father trained him to do with his whole identity. And it's clearly an issue that he's been struggling with his entire life. So anyway, very interesting scene there. Really, really well played by both the actors in that moment. And obviously, again, the part that really broke my heart again, Ben. I don't know what it is with this show not giving, like, again, I did not read the comics, so maybe for some of those you've actually read the Umbrella Academy comics, if you could tell me, does Ben have this little presence in the comics as well? Because I get that he's dead and you can't really do a ton with a character who's not corporeally there for the rest of the world, but it just really hurts my feelings that Ben is still not really given his own arc of any kind or his own mission. Like, everything is around Klaus, and I get that Klaus has to be a big part of his story because Klaus is his only anchor to the living world. But I just feel like at this point, if you keep bringing him up and showing him to us as an audience, I feel like he needs to have his own thing. The most we have gotten is the fact that, I even forgot her name now, the girl that Ben has clearly fallen in love with this girl that's part of Klaus's cult. And it's the first thing we've seen of him having anything of his own that doesn't have to directly do with Klaus. And so I'm just sad because I thought we might get a chance. Although I feel like maybe they're hinting towards something because with him jumping into Klaus's body, what is this, like twice now? I'm wondering if it's pushing towards Ben getting to a place where he will be able to make himself seen or known when he wants to, because the fact that his abilities and all that stuff are still available even though he's physically dead says, I don't know, I just feel like there might be an aspect to Ben's powers maybe that have not been explored yet and that they haven't figured out. But I just want Ben to have his own story. Like, that's my long roundabout way of getting around to saying I really want Ben to have his own thing that doesn't necessarily always have to do with Klaus, although I totally enjoy the Ben and Klaus scenes. Like, those two actors have such great chemistry, and they bounce off each other really well, and it's super fun to watch the two of them, especially that whole scene at the beginning where Klaus is doing yoga, and poor Ben is like, really? Do I have to see this? I've said it a million times, and I'll keep saying it. Robert Sheen, he is one of my favorite actors ever, and he nails this role so well. Like, if he doesn't get an award of some kind for this, I don't know, there's no justice in the world. But yeah, that's my rant on Ben. I really want him, because I mean, again, seeing that dinner scene where he literally just couldn't take it anymore, where he, jumped through Klaus just to be like, I need someone to see that I'm here. Because he's got his own issues with their dad too, and he doesn't even get those addressed. No one even cares. Which to me is just super sad, because he's still part of the group, and he still went through a lot of what they went through. Like, he's the only person so far that's paid the ultimate sacrifice for being part of the Umbrella Academy. But we're already so far into the season that I just don't see how we could really incorporate anything. And I understand, as I said, he's not real, so there's only so much you can do with somebody who's not in the world of the living, trying to communicate with people who are a part of the living. But yeah, it saddens me a lot. I really do wish we had more of Ben's story. We had some very interesting things around, I think, Allison and her husband. I think Allison's going to come to the realization, I think, very quickly that her abilities are such, with not just her abilities, but just that I think the only people that they're going to be able to really be with are people who understand what it's like to either have abilities or who genuinely will love them despite that and not look at them for it. Because in Ray's case, I know he does love Allison, but we saw it, right? The second he saw that it worked, the first thing his mind went to was, oh my God, we could do so much, we could change things. And yes, in the beginning it starts out sort of altruistic, but how long before it'd be like, well, let's use your abilities to get a little extra money from the bank, or let's use your abilities to make sure we get that mortgage approved. Let's, you know what I mean? Like, it's, do you know what I mean? The fact that he was even thinking of using it to further their cause, even though, listen, the cause for civil rights, if there was ever a reason to use mind control, I totally get it. But it doesn't change the intrinsic problem, right? It's a Band-Aid fix, not to mention its manipulation. Not to mention the fact that she said that there's a cost to using her abilities. And at first I thought she was thinking about some kind of a side effect, but I'm thinking it's twofold. One was obviously what we saw with Vanya, you know, last season. She clearly lost it when she felt that betrayal and that sense of manipulation from being used like that. But also, we saw her when she went back to that coffee shop and she got her revenge on the man who caused that, you know, the riot really to break out, right? Because they were peacefully having to sit in until that guy who was working at the cafe put the hot coffee in her lap. Yes, that revenge was warranted. It was understandable, but, you know, it's the whole two wrongs don't make a right, right? It doesn't, like, now she's gone and caused this man probably third-degree burns on his hands. Everyone saw her do it. It doesn't, people aren't going to look at that and say, unfortunately, we all know they're not going to look at it and say, well, you know, he did try to burn her with coffee last week. They're going to say, that monster attacked that poor white man, and now the whole, you know, and now he's burnt for life, and we know how it goes, right? Yeah, she's going to put herself in a very precarious position now. I have no doubt in the next episode or two, we're going to find out that there's an all-out witch hunt for her, you know, dead or alive, taken in at any cost. It's probably going to cost Ray his life potentially now too, because if they can't get to Allison, they're going to try to get to whoever is closest to Allison, and that's Ray. In this time period, there are no superheroes, and people don't know who they are, and she is a black woman in a segregated, you know, state during a time when there was not, you know, the civil rights were not where they are now, which is not that far ahead, but still. So it's going to be a much different story for her, and unfortunately, much like how, you know, poor, what's his name, the guy who ran Morty's shop there ended up losing his life just by association with the Umbrella Academy. I have a feeling that everyone who's associated with them is going to end up paying a price now. Like, we're seeing that. So in the end, the Umbrella Academy only ever has each other, right? So that's kind of sad, but it makes for great storytelling. So anyways, that was pretty much the highlights of the episode. Of course, there were some other moments, but those are the ones that really stood out to me. I enjoyed this episode a lot. I really hope that you guys enjoyed watching along with me. If you did, please go ahead and hit that like button. And again, if you've been here before and you like what you see, go ahead and hit subscribe. That way you can get notifications of when I do uploads of this show and others that you might like. So, until next time, guys, take care.